So much for Tony Parker revenge.
Yeah. So, I don't understand why he didn't roll back the clock 10 years.
That's hilarious, man.
It's amazing. There's the tweet. We are live. There we go. Tuesday? Is today Tuesday? Tuesday, January 15th. 6-game slate. Oh, Tony Parker revenge last night, man. It was vicious. Vicious.
Yeah, that worked out well.
So vicious.
Kind of worked out as you would expect it to work out, though, right?
Yeah, it went exactly like I thought it would happen.
Me too. Not Gordon Hayward, though. I thought he'd be a little bit better.
Yeah, Gordon Hayward, he and I need to have a conversation because he did me dirty last night.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, I think I should be allowed to press charges.
Yeah, I won't go too far with that, but yeah, I'm with you.
Explain to me how Brad Wanamaker can take twice as many shots as Gordon Hayward in a game, and the Celtics lose.
Oh, it's crazy, and actually, if you look at the final score of that game, it doesn't even come close to telling the story. They were down by like 25 at one point.
Hayward was minus 22 in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. They started making a push, and it was basically all with the bench.
Yeah,
I mean, everybody. In the starting line. Sorry. Jaylen Brown was solid at that price.
Yeah. Yabusele was plus 14 in 13 minutes. Brad Wanamaker was plus 11 in 26 minutes. I mean, you can see where the fourth quarter came from. Yeah,
no question. Although D'Angelo Russell was good to me. He had a really strong game, and that shows you when guys are cheap enough, don't worry about the price tag. If you get a guy at a good enough price. Now, that's not to say that Russell's going to go out there and drop 60 against Boston every time. No, of course not. Last time he faced them, he had like 11 fantasy points. They got their doors blown off. So, of course. But at a price like that, speaking specifically on DraftKings, well, you just go ahead and it's not like the matchup to me just matters a whole lot less. But that doesn't mean that a $3,100 Nene or Marcus Chris is now a good play because they're that cheap. It's a little bit different. Right. Russell's got 30% usage, a 38% assist rate, and in a good game, Atkinson's going to give him a ton of minutes, whereas these guys are not good, face a tough matchup, and are probably never going to see more than 20 minutes. That I was really surprised to see lineups with bigs from Houston last night.
Raise your hand if you thought Kenny Atkinson would only play 8 guys last night. Did not play Kenneth Faried, did not play Allen Williams, did not play Theo Pinson, and Ed Davis only got 14 minutes. I mean, he had 5 fouls, but like that.
Yeah.
If you tell me all of that before the game, you're like, oh, Dinwiddie probably had a decent game. No. 3 for 6 from the field. Took only 6 shots. Damari Carroll, on the other hand, 2 for 15 from the field. 1 for 9 from 3. This game, man.
Jared Allen was strong in that one. You're right. The fouls for Davis had something to do with it, but
how does Ed Davis pick up 5 fouls and Jared Allen doesn't pick up a single foul in 33 minutes?
It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Jared Allen had a big game. Russell was awesome. Al Horford, another one where, I didn't have much Al Horford, but I thought he was a fine play against Brooklyn. He ended up being terrible. Like with Rozier, it doesn't really matter, right? It really didn't matter. He had 19.25. It doesn't matter.
Totally irrelevant. Once you're 90% owned,
right?
Really not mattering all that much.
No, especially when the guys that were pivoting off of him were pivoting with like Tony Parker.
Yeah.
So, and most people that had another cheap guy, like I had Shelvin Mack as well, but he was in the same lineup as Rozier. Not many people are going to be playing him over Rozier. And even if you did, 7 fantasy points isn't a deal breaker. It's not the end of the world. It was Gordon Hayward was the guy that, I mean, I didn't have a bad night. I told you I went away from the Davis Harden pairing in a lot of spots just because it was wildly popular. Not to say that it didn't work out in a lot of spots. If you had the right value around, they had like a combined 160, but Gordon Hayward kept it from being a good night to, could have been really good because he had 11 fantasy points and 3 points on 1 for 6 shooting. He played 25 minutes. He was just as anemic as you could possibly get against the Brooklyn Nets.
Hero of the Year award goes to Nelson3 in chat. The pivot was Pat Bev, and it wasn't a hard choice. Kudos to you, sir. Kudos to you.
Oh, it's always an easy choice in hindsight.
It's Pat Bev is like the most obvious shit ever. Yeah, he looked like a really nice potential punt play on FanDuel for 3,900.
Yeah, I had Pat Bev on the night slate if that helps.
Yeah.
But
oh my god.
No, I won't get into it, but you're talking about a guy that had, sub 20 fantasy points in 9 of his last 10. Yeah, he had a decent match or a very good matchup against the Pelicans. But you're like, here's the thing. This is where I would ask you to explain it. He had 18 combined rebounds and assists and 3 blocks.
Classic game. Should have saw that one coming.
That's premier Patrick Beverley. That's what you're saying. Look, if you give me 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks on 3 points and 1 for 3 shooting in 25 minutes, we're in business, man.
Like, I liked him as one of the, 5 or 6 sub 4K guys as drops for FanDuel. It's not like I liked him enough that I was going to have him in like 40% of lineups as a Rozier hedge. Give me a break.
Right.
They weren't even comparable plays. Beverly's ceiling, in theory, was like Rozier's 50th percentile outcome.
Right. It's a super easy decision at 9:30 on Tuesday morning.
Oh, my God.
I mean, good for you.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Good for you. Like, if it worked out, for sure. But I'm telling you right now, and I'll say this again, I said it last night. You run this back 100 times, you're getting burnt as a motherfucker playing Beverly over Rozier in this scenario going forward most of the time, almost all of the time in this particular spot.
Eddie said it in Slack last night too, because he and I talked when we got to that piece. We were like, oh, we like Beverly, but Rozier is as close to a lock button as possible, so it's really hard to aggressively recommend Rozier and then be like, well, if you're pivoting, go to Beverly. Like, we're not even really pivoting. We're saying put him in almost everything.
Right. I ain't mad at you, though. Hey, he had a good game, and that game had a ton of fantasy. I loaded up on that game. I mean, you wanted to get a lot of exposure to that game. But, yeah, it came from a bunch of different spots. And, hey, Montrezl Harrell, too. I love it.
Yeah.
You see what Harrell did off the bench last night? Again, I mean, he's looked excellent. And
the dude has had some peaks and valleys in this season.
Yeah, no question. But he played another 34 minutes last night, 26 and 10 with 4 assists. Man, if you're gonna keep getting 30+ minutes out of Montrezl Harrell, you're in business for sure.
Hayward was a fish play. Oh God, I might dive out my window today. Office is on the 2nd floor, so all it's gonna do is hurt. But I feel like I deserve the hurt. Ground's probably really cold too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Seems about time.
Hayward was a fish play. People either like to troll or like to think that they're right.
Yeah, I got nothing.
But again, I would ask you, what is your reasoning for this?
Yeah, I thought that when I saw when lineups locked, I thought that Gordon Hayward didn't have enough ownership.
Yeah, I mean, let me change the subject. Did you see Adam Gase's presser?
I didn't see it, but I saw you guys discussing it in our Slack.
Oh my Lord!
Should I get into that real quickly? Like,
I mean,
watch that when I'm done.
I swear, dude was on meth. Okay, all right. I mean, this wasn't even cocaine. This may be bath salts, but I have never seen anything like this in my life. Like, he was seeing things in the room that no one else was seeing in the room.
I'm really excited to watch this now.
Really bizarre. I'm sure people in chat or people that are watching this right now had seen it. If not, go look at my Twitter. One of my last tweets was that. You could pretty much find it anywhere. Just search Adam Gase. It is really surprising. and really, really weird.
I'm excited to check it out now. Oh, all right. Housekeeping. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first monthly package. So whichever package you pick, if it's a monthly package, you'll get 50% off for that first month. It's not in perpetuity. But if you want to try out any of our stuff, or if you want to try out Fantasy Cruncher, you can make sure that you pick up Fantasy Cruncher package. Shout out to Thrive Fantasy, not a sponsor for today, but just check them out, thrivefantasy.com, bit.ly/awesemo for a deposit bonus. I'm going to talk about today's slate, I guess. I'm kind of pumped for it. There's a lot to like, but there's a lot up in the air right now.
Yeah, for a Tuesday, we're in good shape, man. We're definitely in good shape. I have no problem with this slate at all. I mean, you and I have gotten some bad ones to talk about. We still go 4 hours. This is the problem, but no, I like this one, and I think you're looking at, well, first of all, look at the games. Like Philly, Minnesota is going to be a fun game, right? You got Butler. Now, to be fair, if we're doing the narrative, if I'm ever going to look at a revenge narrative, I prefer it to be returning to your old city. So you've got the added, the added aggression that comes with, and the added determination, motivation that comes with the home fan, throwing peanut shells at you. But this is still this is going to be pretty interesting. But also remember, like Thibodeau's not even there anymore.
Yeah. I don't think Butler had a problem with Minnesota.
Right. No, I'm saying it's going to be interesting by the way we react to Butler facing Minnesota. Like I just said, when it comes to the whole narrative thing, I take it into consideration when, one, it's a ball dominant guy that is just gonna, like LeBron James returning to Miami, whether he was great or not, like that he's gonna have every opportunity to produce.
Yeah.
Is it possible that Brett Brown is gonna say, all right, Jimmy, go get him? Maybe, but you're still trying to win basketball games. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this let a lot of people down. Now the question is Butler a good play? Well, he's not that cheap. I'd say he's an okay play, but with Embiid and Simmons and everybody healthy, I think you can do better.
I know we're going to get to Butler, but did you listen to the Jimmy Butler, JJ Redick podcast by any chance?
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't. Is it new?
Probably like a month ago.
I didn't know that Butler came on Redick's podcast.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, so we talked about that infamous practice going up against the first string with the third string guys. And there was an interesting caveat to all of it that never got really reported, and he said it. He took one shot in that pickup.
Is that right?
Yeah. One. He was just dropping dimes all over the place.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's even worse for the first stringers. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't shoot.
Wow. But so you look at the lines on this game, 231 and a 233 with Atlanta and OKC, 227.5 with Denver, Golden State. Still don't have lines on two games.
Yeah, I made up two totals. The spreads were there. Totals were gone. So normally
totals. That's what. Yeah, totals.
Everything's out now. Actually, Indiana and Phoenix is -10 and 220.
220. Okay.
And then the other one was Milwaukee, Miami -8.5 and 220.
220. Yeah, I figured
and they just came out. So
there we have it.
Yeah.
Let's get it popping.
All right, we're gonna start Pacers Suns. 120 implied total for the Pacers. No, that's not true. I just refreshed that. 115 implied total for the Pacers. I don't have auto calcs on here right now. All right, there we go. 115 Pacers, 105 Suns. Is not awesome. Devin Booker questionable, so we could be seeing him. I think he's questionable at least.
No, he's supposed to play. He's active. From what I saw.
Is he better than questionable?
I'm pretty sure he's active. Yeah, he's playing.
Let me double check it.
He's playing.
Will play. Okay. Got it. There we go. Devin Booker will play. We'll start on the Indiana side, though. A little bit of a pace-up spot for them. Miles Turner is questionable, correct? Am I getting that one right, at least?
You are getting that one correct.
I had to get there eventually. Turner questionable. Corey Joseph questionable. The Turner piece is really important. The Corey Joseph is slightly less important. Oladipo, 8,300 on FanDuel, 7,800 on DK, $30 on Yahoo. How would you like to handle Victor Oladipo, who has been kind of a different player over the past 6 weeks?
It's difficult. First of all, compare it to the rest of this slate. Who do we have? We have Westbrook. You got Embiid against Minnesota. We got Jokic against the Warriors. You got some pretty favorable spots here. I'll throw Paul George even in against Atlanta.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons against Minnesota is pretty interesting. The price is getting up there. John Collins, just look, the mid-range players. There's a lot of them, and if Turner's out, Sabonis is another one at 7,900. So just trying to see how many guys am I going to be prioritizing over somebody like Oladipo. Well, he's finally come down below 8K, and last year I always had a rule: sub 8K Oladipo was always in play for me, always. But Oladipo wasn't playing like this, and it's a little concerning, really. I don't really know what to make of it, because he's not doing that much differently, and we've seen him have a couple of big games still since coming back, right? I think he had like a 58, a 55, a few strong games, but aside from that, you're getting some consistently low numbers, and that's what worries me. He returned on the 12th, right? The 12th of December, and I wanted to pull his usage up.
Yeah, that's the big one right there.
Right? So what is his usage since, if you can get to it before me, fair game. But I think that's the biggest thing, because if you just look at it on the surface, you look at his shot attempts, his free throw attempts, certainly doesn't look like his usage is the same as it's been.
When did he come back?
He came back on the 12th. I got it right here. So since the 12th, he has 26% usage, 25% assist rate, rebounding rate is at 8.5%, and per minute production's at 1.12 on the season. But his usage rate on the season, not just including that all together, is 28%. But my guess is if you took it before the 12th, it was probably 30%, like before and then up to the 12th.
He's getting to the rim a lot less.
Is he driving less?
28% of his shots are at the rim this year. Last year was 31. Season before that, 31. Season before that, 34. So less and less and less he's getting to the rim, and now he's settling more and more for long mid-range shots. This is his worst effective field goal percentage year since his rookie year. Was last year an aberration?
That's tough to say. I don't think it was an aberration, no. I mean, dude, earlier this year, he was having some really big games.
Sure.
He was having some really solid games earlier this year. He actually, let's not forget, Oladipo got up right around 10K at one point. He was having actually a really solid season. So just looking at drives here, because, drives to the rim are important too. Is it that he can't get there, or he isn't? Or he's kicking it out, or what? My guess would be that he's driving less. It's really weird. What do you do with him at this price tag? Because I do, again, I still have some interest. I feel like this is still, maybe you're not getting a discount. Maybe it's early and I'm just overthinking this, and we're really not getting a discount, because with the way he's playing right now, simply this should not be considered a discount.
He's my number 2 shooting guard on FanDuel and my number 1 shooting guard on Yahoo, and he's 6th on DK. So I get it. 17% ownership on FanDuel, 13 on DraftKings. I am drawn to the allure of getting the Victor Oladipo from last year in a spot where he should nuke the Suns.
Check this out. 11.1 drives per game from the 16th of October to the 11th of December. So, before he returned from injury, before he got injured. 8.9 drives per game since then. So even his drive rate has gone down considerably since returning. And I think it just goes more towards he has not been as aggressive at all.
And that's I want to know why. I mean, obviously, but
right, yeah, not interested.
Yeah. Why is he settling? I don't know.
It's sure a good spot to bounce back, no question. And
Yeah.
like I said, he has this game against Chicago where he jacked up 28 shots. The interesting thing about it is he's not when you look at who are you deferring to? I mean, you're playing with Thaddeus Young and you're playing with Sabonis, who, yeah, Sabonis is a strong player, but he's also not a, Joel Embiid 20 shots a game guy, right? Like, you're not going to defer to the point where Sabonis or Miles Turner is taking that away from you. Darren Collison, Corey Joseph, yeah, Bogdanovich, sure, but you should be racking up a lot of those dimes on Bogdanovich spot up shots. Uh, it's strange. He's obviously in play at 7,800 against Phoenix. There's no question there. I'm just not as confident as I would have been had this been, November 15th and not January 15th.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's as simple as he's not going balls to the wall because the team's good. They have a better point differential than the Raptors right now.
Yeah. No, they've been playing very well. They're third in the East. Or that knee is still not, he still doesn't have, supreme confidence that his knee isn't going to give out on him when I get he didn't blow his ACL out, but, he was out for what, a good month with that knee?
Yeah. Yeah, he's played 27 games or something.
Yeah, so you never know.
Look, I'm going to have some Oladipo, particularly on Yahoo where he's only 30. To think that, a 50-point game out of Victor Oladipo against the Suns is very attainable, in my opinion.
Right.
So I can't really get away from him. On DraftKings, it's a little bit easier, just because of multi-positional stuff. But it's about as good of a spot as you can find.
Yeah, it is. You're gonna have to get some. And if Miles Turner is out, Sabonis is going to be a really, really great play here.
Yeah.
There's no way not to like Sabonis if Turner sits. Even with DeAndre Ayton improving as a rebounder and looking better overall. It's funny, while everyone else was hitting the rookie wall, he was actually breaking through it seemed. I feel like despite that solid play, he still struggled defensively, and Sabonis should have no trouble exploiting this matchup. So with him still being priced where he is, I mean, you're talking about 70. He's still subs 8K on DraftKings, and in a close game, if it is, you're going to get. And I'm not to say it will be, but if it is, because Phoenix is playing better lately, and with Booker healthy, I wouldn't be surprised. Plus, with blowouts, a lot of times it's not a blowout until the latter stages of the game anyway, and doesn't affect playing time. Sabonis to me would be a very, very strong play here, and 7,900 is just way too good of a price on a guy that can give you a really big double-double here. 79 on FanDuel as well, which is something you rarely see.
Yeah, I really like Sabonis if Turner is out. If Turner is in, then I don't really want either one of them.
No, I mean, you can't pay that. Even though you wouldn't say you're paying a premium for Sabonis, you'd be paying a big-time premium for Sabonis if Turner's healthy. No question. You're losing like 8 minutes.
I do have a little bit of interest in Thad Young on FanDuel or Yahoo, and Bojan, particularly on FanDuel, 5,200. He's getting some ownership, though, 22%, so I can see wanting to be somewhere else. Only $19 on Yahoo. It's not the worst in the world, but Thad Young's a guy that I just can't stop getting to pop up.
Sure.
Scares me.
I really, when it comes to Thad, I never have anything to say about the guy.
I agree.
Because there's really not much to say about him. Everyone knows what type of player he is. He like, see, I really have not. I usually have something to say about everybody or everything. It's a problem. But with Thad Young, I'm speechless and not in a good way. It's not a bad way either. It's just kind of like, okay, if you're playing Thad Young, you're hoping that he does what Thad Young does and gives you a decent game. There's nothing remarkable about him. There's nothing unique about him. He's just Thad Young.
Yeah, the reason I like him here, Phoenix obviously a little bit more prone to turnovers than other teams. Thad Young, pretty quick hands, gets a lot of steals, pace up spot for the Pacers. Those are the kind of times where I want to try to get someone like Thad Young, and there might be some extra opportunities for the counting stats, like steals,
sure,
especially on FanDuel and Yahoo, where that stuff is worth 3 points.
Sure, no question.
Phoenix side, unless you have more on Indiana, they're really hard to pick out until we get news on Turner and Corey Joseph.
It's even when we do get news on them, it's a very tough team to analyze. It just really is. It's a weird team. So
the Tyreke Evans night if Corey Joseph is out.
Oh man,
we haven't had one of those in a while.
No, it's funny too because you look, he's taken 28 shots over his last 2 games. He's played 42 minutes. He's averaging over a field goal attempt. He's averaging what? He has 28 shots in 42 minutes over his last 2 games. That's way more than we saw when we were getting him as a starter. But no, the thing about Evans this year is he's just really the biggest thing that made him so appealing was that Evans was never afraid, ever, to get to the rim and to be aggressive. That's where he made his money around the rim. He's a terrible shooter. That's why when Sacramento tried to transform him into a small forward, the project just didn't work. It was a failed experiment, as everyone should have known.
Yeah.
But I want Evans taking 50% of shots at the rim like we saw him do in 2013 and 14 and 15 and 12. And this is his lowest. He hasn't taken this few shots at the rim since his second year, and that was when they tried to make him a small forward, and that was probably his worst season as a pro.
How old is he?
I don't know. What's he, like 30?
I would have said 26.
He's 29, 29 and a half. Yeah.
Just one of those guys. Like, he's been around for so long, but he was so young that, like, I have no concept. Yep. What, 8 years in the league, probably? 9 years in the league?
Yeah, dude, he was drafted in 2009.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unreal. All right, Phoenix. I have a hard time getting to Devin Booker here. I have a hard time getting to Ayton. TJ Warren for 6K on FanDuel is probably the only thing that interests me in this entire game. Are you seeing anything different?
I talk about like how defense doesn't always matter, but it doesn't matter when the price is in a spot that you really like it. When it's not, you just go elsewhere because why bother? And I kind of feel like that's what we're getting here. The Pacers defensively have played really well. They play down in pace. They're a bottom 10 pace team over the past 30 days and on the season. I'm never opposed to having some tournament exposure to Booker just because he's a 60 plus upside guy. We've seen him do it on countless occasions. So I don't think you're paying too much for Booker. Like, I don't think 85 on FanDuel is too much for Booker when DeMar DeRozan's been sitting around 9K for how long now. So it's not that I dislike Booker, but probably won't have the easiest time getting to him. And then aside from that, where else are you really going to go? He's returning. So, Oubre isn't there. Nope. 52 fantasy points last game, which is wild. That must have been on Saturday because I didn't play on Saturday. Yeah. It was. Yeah. Ayton's price is fine, but I'm definitely not getting a lot of him early on. Phoenix is a team right now that I'm probably not going to have too much of. I'll probably get some Booker exposure just because he's really good and he always has the high ceiling. But aside from that, I'm probably not going to get a lot now.
Yeah, it's nothing standing out for me. If Turner and Corey Joseph are out, that starts to open up Phoenix a little bit for me just because that's, two pretty solid defending pieces from Indiana. So I'd imagine they take a bit of a hit when those guys are off the floor. But otherwise, it's just if Booker is back, everybody drops down a peg and they're priced, not really where that's advantageous.
Yeah, oddly, the defensive rating for Indiana, I remember looking this up the other day, is only 1 possession or 1 point per 100 possessions worse with Turner off the court. So it's not dramatic. To me, it's just they're all. This is the problem that you get with spots like this, is that Devin Booker gets hurt, everyone starts playing the supporting cast. The supporting cast sees their salaries go up, and then Devin Booker comes back. Well, upon returning, you don't get those prices to come back down until he's been back for a little while, and their production follows with Booker being back. So we're getting his first game back. Most of these guys on most sites, you're not getting good prices on them. You're getting Devin Booker being out prices, and that makes it even more unappealing.
332 possessions this season with Miles Turner and Corey Joseph off the floor. They are a minus 9.5, and they have a 117 defensive rating.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Gotta have more to do with Joseph, because I know for a fact that there was 103 and like 101.9 with Turner on and off.
Yeah.
Or Turner off and on. But that's a big difference right there.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind if they're both out. Phoenix might have a little bit easier of a go, but otherwise this is not that appealing of a fantasy game to start the day.
No, not at all.
Ready to talk about your boys?
Let's do it.
76ers, 118.75 implied total. Timberwolves, 112.75. It's a really nice fantasy game. Both teams are solid defensively. Minnesota probably less so when Covington is not healthy. Sixers just good in general, but should be a quick game. We'll start on Philly, and we'll approach the three-headed monster as a whole. What do you like out of Embiid, Simmons, and Butler?
It's the three-headed monster really makes things a lot more difficult.
Does indeed.
Simmons had an incredible game last time out. He had 22 rebounds, 9 assists, 20 points. I mean, he's looked really good lately. Simmons has really looked great.
First 2020 game out of a guard in 30 years or something. I saw some kind of crazy stupid stat.
Westbrook hasn't done it?
I guess not. Maybe not.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
I thought it was.
Maybe I didn't read that right.
Maybe he has. I know what you're talking about. 20-point, 20 rebound game.
Yes.
Yeah. God, that's crazy. I would have thought that Westbrook has done it at least once.
Hold on. I'll have it here.
I know the Sixers haven't had a
28 years
in the NBA, not the Sixers, right?
In the NBA, yeah. First 2020 game by a guard in 28 years. That's points and rebounds.
Whew. Look at that.
Westbrook had a 20 rebound game last season. Do you know why he didn't get the 2020?
What do you have, 19 points?
Nope, 6.
Wow. That guy's outrageous. He really is.
Shout out to Reddit for that one.
Like Simmons here, he's 10K on FanDuel. He's 94 on DraftKings. God, just the first two games we're talking about, I feel like everywhere we look, the price, it just kind of makes you uncomfortable. I think Embiid at 10.5 is pretty appealing, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get to Giannis, of course. We'll get to Westbrook against Atlanta. We'll get to Jokic against Golden State. I don't think I can prioritize Embiid here either. I don't know if I can prioritize anybody from the Sixers. I really don't.
We're on the same page then.
Is it that good of a fantasy game combined? I mean, the combined fantasy points might be nice, but I don't know if individually it's going to be all that friendly. I'm having a tough time here.
Yeah, I would feel most comfortable with Embiid. He's fourth for me at center on both FanDuel and DraftKings. I think he is probably like the safest bet, but this can go it's just really hard to figure out who you think is going to be the guy in this particular matchup. And I don't know. I think that how Butler feels about his time in Minnesota is relevant. We also just have no idea how he feels.
Right. And he's not 68. He's 7,600. I run 150 lineups here to see what I got. without making any adjustments. It's 21 or setting any caps. I got 21% Embiid. You got 5% Ben Simmons and 5% Jimmy Butler.
I got
without any cap. So I mean, obviously you said that things will change, but
I got 4% Embiid. I got none of the other two guys.
So there you go. One of them's gonna have a big game.
Yeah.
But even so, even if that happens, like I'm pretty sure you can fade a big game from Simmons at this price. Feel pretty comfortable about that.
Yeah, I mean, he needs a bundle at that price tag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish one of them would just sit out.
That would be beautiful. And the thing is, it can be any one of them.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't matter. Just if one of them sits out, then we're good. Simmons is the one I think is the least affected by everyone being on the court, just because, you know, he can do everything on the court.
Almost.
But well, yeah, outside of shooting, I'm talking about fantasy from a fantasy standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we're talking about actual ability, we got a long way to go at Ben Simmons. But scoring, right? Like scoring, Ben can still score.
Yes.
It's not Ben's always been able to score. Actually, he's got some nasty moves to the basket and with his back to the basket. It's just shooting has been rough. He's shooting more though, jumpers. They're ugly, but if you keep taking them, eventually we'll get there. I'm having a tough time getting here, Josh, and probably would have looked at this game and said, "Oh, I like that," but now it's becoming a little bit more difficult. I think I'll have like a sprinkle of JJ Redick too, but
yeah, it's not all these guys are like way down the line plays for me. Minnesota, on the other hand, looks pretty good. I mean, multiple spots.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably prefer Towns to Embiid if I had to choose between the two. Wiggins, I think, looks pretty good across all three sites. If Jeff Teague is playing, I think he's a very reasonable option on FanDuel, maybe a little bit less so on DK and Yahoo, but still in play. Taj Gibson for 4,400 on FanDuel is probably one of the better value plays now. We expected Saunders to come in and, you know, maybe recalibrate the rotation a little bit and get to someone like Dario Saric. We're not seeing that. Taj Gibson
not
getting 28-ish minutes a game. Saric is playing 20. So I think Taj is very relevant. 23% expected ownership on FanDuel, so I'm not in the minority on that thought process. Saric, I mean, he's, unless they're like, hey, Dario, here's your chance in a revenge game. I mean, he's basically useless now. So I'm just going to stick to those, the Towns, Wiggins, Teague group. If Rose is playing, I just have a hard time seeing him justify that price tag.
Yeah, the biggest thing about Towns for me is Rose, or biggest thing for Towns, is Rose. Like if you want to talk about what we've seen out of Towns, look at his last game. Rose was out. You know, Towns' biggest games recently have come with Rose off the court, and it makes sense because in terms of usage, Rose is the highest usage player on the court when everybody's healthy. I mean, just look at him. You know, so the 2 games before he went down, he took 43 shots. He returns, he takes 18 shots in 28 minutes. If he's out, Towns becomes a stellar play. If he's in, I downgrade Towns actually quite a bit. Now, it doesn't mean that Towns can't still have a strong game. He's still going to get plenty of work. But having Rose off the court is a difference maker for Towns. And it would also put me on some Jeff Teague as well.
Yeah.
I don't mind Jeff Teague. As a facilitator, he's been really productive. But I'm not going to have any Jeff Teague if Rose plays. There's just no question. And also, he aggravated that ankle injury last game, played only 22 minutes. So who the hell knows what's going on there?
If I'm Brett Brown today, I put Butler on Towns from the jump.
What?
Just to fuck with him.
Oh, That would actually be really funny.
I mean, but like, it's not like Butler can't hang with him on possessions, clearly. But
is Towns the type of guy that'll fold? Like if Butler,
I mean, that's why he's not in Minnesota any longer. That's basically the exact reason he's not in Minnesota. He was the guy that folded.
Right. The things that I want to say that I would expect Butler to say to Towns, before tip, I can't say.
Yeah.
But use your imagination.
A lot of real negative stuff.
Yeah. And I exactly. And obviously we're exaggerating here. I don't think I can't say it. But you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
The world's changing. I got to choose my words carefully.
Sure. If Cat plays angry, he probably should have did that 3 months ago. Then he'd still have another top 15 player on his team.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I would love it if Brett Brown just put Butler out on him for like the first couple of possessions and really just tried to
that would be that would be hilarious. That would be really. I mean, what an idea that is! What an idea! I love it.
Transition. And then you have Embiid on Taj Gibson, not really having to do all that much. Ben Simmons can guard whoever.
Wiggins.
And
put him on Wiggins, and then hide Redick on Teague because Redick's a terrible defender. Imagine Butler just blocks Towns at the rim on the first possession of the game,
just staring at him, chirping, talking about his girl.
Yeah. Yo, can we agree though that if Rose plays this game despite the high total is definitely less appealing than it would look like on paper, just looking at the total and the spread.
Agreed. More shots to go around if Derrick Rose is not on the floor. And the Minnesota's probably I don't know, better without him. I don't know. I don't know what to do with Derrick Rose right now. I don't know what to calibrate him to. I don't know who he is anymore or what kind of player he is.
Let me say this, Josh. If Rose plays, he's my favorite player from this entire game. He's $5,900 on DraftKings, right?
I'm listening. I have the opposite feeling, so go ahead.
Okay. I said it a million times. Phillies, when you talk about a weakness here, Philly, their biggest weakness is these shoot first guards that gun on you.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons for that isn't necessarily because they're efficient in these spots, but because they give them the shots. They get the shots. You might look to take Towns away down low. You might seal off the perimeter, but Rose can just come up and jack shots up. You've seen it with, name a player, D. Russell, Jimmy Butler, Kemba Walker on 3 separate occasions. I could go on. I mean, the list is extensive. Rose is that type of guy. It's not Teague. It's not Wiggins. And the reason it's not Wiggins is because Rose would do, bringing the ball up the court, the primary ball handling, with Rose out there. It won't be Teague either, even though he'll see some work. I expect it to be Rose. 5,900, 63 on FanDuel. Yeah, if Rose comes back and he plays 30 plus, give me the upside for 20 plus shots any day of the week against the Sixers in a 231 total game. Like I said, I want to exploit the cheaper guys. And if there's one guy that would be wrongly priced in this entire game, not talking about like Gibsons and such, it would be Derrick Rose.
How many minutes do you see him playing if he does play?
If he plays, I'll give him 30.
Okay. And we don't for 28 right now.
20. Yeah, I mean that's what he played with. That's what he played last game. But I also don't know if that had something to do with that injury that was still bothering him. But the thing is, okay, so he's still a nagging ankle injury, but he shot 8 for 16. He was 3 for 5 from 3. It's not like it affected his game in that one. So yeah, I'd put him at 30.
He's shooting 48% from 3 this season.
Yeah, he's been ridiculously good, man.
That's the first time he's been over 30% since 2013.
Crazy. Hey, I don't expect it to continue, but I expect a lot of shooting to continue.
Yeah, it's a high variance play there because you need him to shoot well in this matchup. Getting to the rim is not going to be all that interesting of a proposition for Derrick Rose against Joel Embiid.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes me nervous. Now, if Rose is in and Teague is out, I'd certainly get some more interest, but I don't get the sense that I would have much Rose tonight.
Fair enough.
I'll probably die with that one. It wouldn't be the first time this season.
I mean, he's sub 6K, so I really have zero issue with it. It's a price play for me, and one that I think at that salary could pay off.
Want anything else from this game?
No. Okay. I do. The funny thing is I do. I just can't see myself getting there.
I get it. This next one should get some fantasy love. The Atlanta Hawks hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder in what should be an absolute track meet. Hawks and Thunder are first and second in pace, in my pace numbers. I assume they're somewhere in the top 5 for the season. 111.75 implied total for the Hawks, 120.75 for the Thunder. Dwayne Dedmon is doubtful. I assume we see Prince for a couple minutes. Somebody else is questionable, I believe, for Atlanta. I don't want to miss. It's just a sea of like red squares on Roto World. Lynn is probable.
Is also,
and Collins is probable.
Lynn is probable now. Okay.
Yeah. Dwayne Dedmon is doubtful. Miles Plumlee is not healthy. So in order to deal with Steven Adams, you're basically looking at Alex Len or Amari Spellman. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Amari Spellman is not big enough to deal with Steven Adams. So on the surface, we should be seeing a lot of Alex Len. At least that would be my expectation. I have him in for 25 minutes right now. He's my number 1 value center on all 3 sites. Am I crazy? Because it's not a good spot. Steven Adams is fantastic, but there's so much pace in this game. If he keeps himself on the floor as a point per minute guy, it's a nice price.
I don't think you're crazy, but I could see this going terribly wrong as well.
Yeah.
I could see this going Steven Adams is one of those guys that I really, certain matchups don't bother me, and Alex Len is affordable enough to where it's probably not going to make a huge difference. But man, Steven Adams is one of those players that I do not like. He gets in your head. He makes life difficult. Alex Len is easily shook. He's the type of guy that can get in easy foul trouble. I don't predict foul trouble, because like blowouts, you just can't. It doesn't do you any favors unless it's Jaren Jackson, but yeah, that's not hard to do. No, I think Alex Len is fine, but I will say I didn't get a lot of him early on. I didn't get that much of him because I'm projecting him for fewer minutes than you are, and with his minutes, I don't know. I don't really know where to put him. I think it would make sense to put him at that 25, but it really comes down to how he starts. We've seen it with Lloyd Pierce. If you get off to a good start, you're going to get that additional burn in the first rotation, and then you'll come back earlier, and then everything looks good. But if you don't get off to a good start, you get in early foul trouble. It's just we've seen his minutes totally spiral downwards. I wish I knew, and I actually think, with somebody like Amari Spellman, he's 38 on DraftKings,
flat minimum on FanDuel.
Right. So he played 30 minutes last game, and Len played, what did he play? 18, 17. I'm assuming they split
not a lot.
Yeah. But he also fouled out, which is, kind of Alex Len like. Yeah. So he played 17, and Amari Spellman played 30. I think I would just caution you not to read too far into that. It could go the other way around. I have no idea. And that's why I hate trying to break this down. The one positive is that if you're looking at the center rotation, those guys soaked up all the minutes at the 5.
Yeah. Amari Spellman is 6'9". I just he's, a little fatty, but I don't know what he brings to the table against Steven Adams. I just can't imagine he could soak up 30 minutes out there against him. He's just not good enough.
No, he started last game, but that was against Brook Lopez, who
not exactly a traditional big.
Right. He's a 7-footer, but funny thing is he used to be a traditional big, just a bad rebounding one.
Yeah.
I'm just looking here to see if there were any stretches where Collins played at the 5. So it looks like, yeah, there he played at the 5 for maybe a minute or two, and
that's bad for John Collins too.
Why against Adams? You're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, but this is. I mean, this was maybe one. He played like 1 minute at the 5.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like, if it's not Len, I think that it has to be more Collins than Spellman, and that negatively impacts Collins. You're just simply going to get less rebounds having to battle with Steven Adams for whatever.
I don't think Pierce wants to use him at the 5, though. We've seen that. We've seen that, when they've had guys banged up. You could just as easily play Collins at the 5 and Spellman at the 4, but that has not been an option here. So, no, I don't think Collins gets the run at the 5. What do you think about that price point, though? He's $7,500 on DraftKings.
That's nice.
He continues to be an instant double-double. Yeah. And if not, he's got 25 and 9 like he did against Philly. He won that game for him, right? It was beautiful. It was back to the basket, made Muscala look like a fool, and drained it. I really like John. Not saying today. I really like his game.
I'm in for Collins on DraftKings for sure. He's ranked number 2 for me. I don't have a ton of interest at 8,400 on FanDuel. That's just too much. So I don't have any problem having Collins. I clearly don't have any problem having Len.
I got a lot of Collins in my initial crunch too.
Yeah.
On DraftKings, it's just 7,500 is pretty damn favorable. I get that it's OKC, but listen, you're getting a pace up spot. I mean, this is a Hawks team that plays at an elevated pace, right?
Yeah.
But the Thunder are playing at the second fastest pace in basketball since last month. The Hawks 4th. This is going to be a ridiculously fast-paced game. There's going to be a ton of scoring here. And, the Thunder are 9-point favorites, but what are you going to do? That's not to say this game can't stay close for a while.
I like Jeremy Lin here, too.
Yeah, well, Lin's been getting some minutes with Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that were to continue, then he becomes a whole lot more interesting, right?
I have him in for 25 minutes right now. Trae Young in for 30, so I have some overlap.
Yeah.
And that makes Lin fantastic as a value play on this slate, especially in this matchup with, so much pace. Like, just there's so many opportunities to go around.
Check this out. Last game, he played 7 minutes with Trae Young. Lin played, let's see, 11 minutes and 40 seconds. 11:40 of the final frame. He came out for like 20 seconds. And Trae Young played 7 minutes of that.
Yeah.
So the closing lineup here, despite the game getting out of hand, they still went with the starters. The closing lineup, and I'll say, mid 4th quarter, because that's when you have the guys in the, likely would have closed it here in the event that it didn't get completely out of hand, was Lin, Young, Spellman, Collins, and Kevin Huerter. Interesting. If that's the case, you're getting those extra minutes from Lin, and that's exactly what you need. You want those extra minutes. You need that extra 7 minutes of overlap at the end to get him up to the 26 minutes, 28 minutes.
Yep.
It's imperative.
Exactly. So he's a guy I'm looking at. Deandre Bembry looks to be pretty popular. Yeah, he's the chalk play on DK right now, 4,500. Not sure I agree with 38% DeAndre Bembry, and this is coming from the guy that probably gets more DeAndre Bembry in a crunch than anybody else on the planet this season.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of minutes there for Bembry.
That's assuming Prince is definitely out.
I have Prince in for 20 minutes right now. I have Bembry in for 30.
Okay. Prince is not questionable because of the injury. He's questionable because he has flu-like symptoms, by the way. It's not the injury that's held him out all this time. It's the illness.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to think of that. Because he returned, he played 11 minutes.
Right. They're not going to let him rip. There's no value in being like, "Hey, Prince, I know you've been out for 2 months, but we're going to need you to go 30 here."
And to be fair, he hasn't exactly done the best job of ripping this season either. So.
Not so much.
Kevin Huerter is getting huge minutes. It's really ridiculous.
Is it ridiculous? I mean, he's a first-round draft pick.
No, I'm saying it's wild to see that.
Gotcha. You don't mean that. You don't mean ridiculous in like a negative connotation.
Ridiculous that he shouldn't be getting him? No, he's playing fine. I mean, it's ridiculous in that Lloyd Pierce has been pretty quick to curtail everyone's playing time, and Kevin Huerter hasn't been one of them.
Yeah. No, he has not.
Like, he's getting more minutes than everybody on this team.
He's in the Kevin Knox mold. Must be guys named Kevin in this draft class just playing minutes out the ass.
It's got to be, yeah. And all they do is get points with nothing else to contribute.
Yep, very much so. I like Kevin Huerter. I'll say this much, though. It took me a while to know that he was white.
Really?
Yep.
With that name?
I don't know the lineage of Huerter. I just assumed that he wasn't white because that's usually a pretty safe bet in the NBA.
It sounds German to me, but then again, so is Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, and he's not white. But yeah, it was probably like a month into the season. I popped the Hawks on, and they were like, Huerter for 3. I was like, so what now?
I mean, not only is he white,
he's real white.
This dude is white.
He might be the whitest guy in the league.
Right. He looks like the mandatory math tutor that you would get in high school.
Yeah.
Not a basketball player. And then he's got this goofy, like, combed hair down to the side that's like clearly combed and matted down with some type of gel. Yeah. It is really strange, man.
I don't ever see these guys. Like, I'm never manually entering. I'm uploading CSVs. So I very rarely see like the picture on FanDuel or the picture on DraftKings and stuff like that.
Now, are you aware that Kyle O'Quinn is black?
I am.
Okay.
I don't picture him in like a leprechaun outfit or anything.
just to be sure.
No. Yeah, I'm good.
Just making sure.
I don't watch a lot of college basketball, so like I had no idea that Kevin Huerter was as white as he is. Somebody put really the ghost emoji in the YouTube chat. Nailed it.
Gordon Hayward in Utah looked like a ghost too.
Yeah.
Now he just looks like a ghost because he sucks so bad you never hear his name.
Yeah, I think he's just dead on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
His career died.
Like that man for a pulse.
His career died in Cleveland last year, or Boston. I don't remember where it actually was.
Against Boston, Cleveland, I don't know either. Yeah,
I think it was in Boston.
All I know is a loud crack heard across the country. The crack heard around the world.
Yep. And then I turned the TV off.
Yeah,
couldn't really get into it. Couldn't really get into it. All right, Oklahoma City side. These guys are priced ridiculously on FanDuel, but Westbrook, George, Grant, Schroeder all rank first in terms of value at their positions on FanDuel for me, with Steven Adams at second.
I don't think George is priced ridiculous on FanDuel. Are you saying ridiculously high?
No, they're all compared to DraftKings.
Oh.
They are all very orange in my comparison of FanDuel to DraftKings pricing.
Even George? If he's 92 on DraftKings, 97 on FanDuel. I thought that's pretty damn friendly on both.
I love George here. I love all of Oklahoma City.
Yeah. All of them, you say?
Westbrook, George, Adams, Grant, Schroeder. I'm in for all 5 of those guys.
Wow.
In a lot. And apparently ownership is too. Ownership on those 5 guys in order: 33, 30, 24, 31, 32.
I'm with you outside. I don't see myself getting to a whole lot of Adams.
Okay.
But if any, maybe like 5. Because it's 7,000 even in the matchup. It's just he's not it takes a lot for Adams at that price to really give you what you need. Seriously, like, look at his production at 7,000. Adams is unlikely to kill you here.
Is he the best cash center on the slate?
Let's see.
Remember, it's potentially Alex Len or no one. He
can
have 25 boards today.
No, he can't. I don't see it. I did feel like Steven Adams is kind of, stay in your lane, do your thing. You don't get 25 boards when you play with Russell Westbrook. I'm not trying to be funny or combative, but like, if the more boards to go around, Adams will get some.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a bit with 25. Let's be clear.
Sure. Yeah, sure. But this team, including Adams, has deferred to Westbrook on the boards for years now. I just think he's limited. That's all. In cash, perfectly fine. In tournaments, I think you can do better. And then if Miles Turner is out, I'm just going to have significantly more Sabonis. Now, power forward, it's different, right? Where he's eligible there as well. But then it would just throw another wrench into the works. I have no issues with Adam. I just don't see myself getting to nearly as much of him because, like with George and with Westbrook, I feel pretty confident about that. The question is, how many of these guys are going to pay off these price tags when you have guys like Adam or when you have guys like Westbrook and George on the court that are going to be doing the bulk of the heavy lifting? With Schroeder, 5,400, you could make that argument that, okay, he's cheap enough. I don't need a big game for him. I just think $7K for Adams, while it's not a horrible price, I'm not chomping at the bit to get him in the lineups for my 35 fantasy points. That's all.
I don't disagree. It's just another one of those things where I see opportunity upon opportunity. Hawks are a terrible shooting team.
Sure.
And Adams could just gobble it all up. Because he's not going to be sweating Alex Len or Amari Spellman or any of these clowns.
Gobble everything that Westbrook gives him.
Sure.
No, look, I think he's fine. What you say you like Jeremy Grant too?
Yeah, 5,400 on FanDuel, 51 on DK, 21 on Yahoo. I like him way more on FanDuel than anywhere else. But again, 31% ownership gives me a little bit of pause. Clearly. There's a little bit of extra time to go around. Grant at the 5 could be a thing in this game more so than Patrick Patterson, since Nerlens Noel is maybe no longer with us.
He's up in the sky with Gordon Hayward.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all jokes aside, I'm glad that he is okay, because that was really gross.
That was ugly, man. That was scary.
Yeah, when he's just started like twitching a little bit, I was like, because that ground, there's not a lot of give on a basketball floor.
No, it's weird too, because he weighs 17 pounds. You wouldn't have thought the impact could be that bad.
I mean, he basically took that all on the dome.
I know, I'm joking. Ooh. Well, DraftKings gave me court seats once to the Sixers Utah Jazz. Sixers got the shit kicked out of them, but I took Justine to the game, and we're sitting right behind the basket, and they line up for free throws, and Nerlens Noel. So it's Utah's shooting free throws, so Nerlens Noel is closest to the basket, and she's like, "Why are his legs so skinny?" His legs, his lower legs were, you would think at that size that they would break upon any impact.
Yeah.
He's just really, really thin, like just seems like a fragile type of player. But needless to say, it was the head and not the legs.
This is a game I definitely want to dig into throughout the day and see who I think is being over-owned and under-owned in the matchup, and try to adjust. Because 25% plus across those 5 guys, they're all not going to get there.
Where you at on Terrence Ferguson?
Hopefully nowhere near him. I mean, I guess on FanDuel, that's a functional punt drop dude. Yeah, he might be the worst fantasy player in the league.
He's not good.
Not good. 0.50 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days.
Oh, yeah, he's bad. I mean, he's sandwiched in between Westbrook and Paul George.
9% usage rate is what I have him projected for today. 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. I didn't really have anything else.
You're looking for... You're never going to find a 1-for-1 replacement for Andre Roberson because his defense is spectacular. But, Andre Roberson was the type of guy that once in a while would take some spot up threes, but that was it. That was all he did. Defensively, he was a stalwart. So, yeah.
We got a question in Slack before this show started, like any negative correlations on Ferguson and Nader with regards to a blowout. I was like, it doesn't matter. If you're playing these guys at sub 4K price points, correlation is not important. They don't, they might stop each other from a minutes perspective, but you don't have to worry about playing guys together from the same team if they're priced at those prices. It's the playing Russ and George together in a tournament lineup that gets scary because there are only so many fantasy points to go around. And if you're wrong at 12K, the trickle-down effects to your lineup are massive.
Right. Although I don't think you want to play Nader.
No, you don't want to play Terrence Ferguson either.
Right.
These are guys that are 1% or lower owned. So just don't look at those guys.
Exactly. When you're talking about correlate, I mean, it would be strictly minutes here, but the problem is, even if they both played 24 minutes,
you're hoping that Terrence Ferguson gets to 12.
Right. Nader might get to 17.
Yeah. Oh man. So we are an hour and 5 minutes in. We've got 3 games to go.
Step
on the gas. Well, the rest of these games suck.
Exactly. Well, yeah, not entirely, but this next one, we're going to Milwaukee, Miami, right?
We are.
I don't think we'll have too much to talk about here. We'll be all right.
Let's talk about it, unless you have more on Hawks Thunder.
No, I think we broke that down pretty extensively, as we always do.
Yeah. If we don't break something down extensively, it's probably because we're rushed out of the last hour and a half.
Pretty much.
Bucks 114.25 implied total. Heat 105.75. By all accounts, I think everybody is active. Josh Richardson, the only guy that's up in the air, and by all accounts, he's playing. So these teams should be at full strength. It's a nice pace-up spot for Miami. It's a kind of a tough spot for Milwaukee. Heat defense is solid. They don't play particularly fast. With that said, I think I would like to rotate through Middleton, Bledsoe, Brogdon, and Brook Lopez on FanDuel as just filler. None of these guys are particular priorities to me on my sites, although Middleton and Bledsoe both look really good on DK. How do you want to handle all of these guys? Giannis is Giannis. I don't have any hot takes here. If he doesn't seem that appealing to me today.
Well, look, with me with Giannis, can you always fade some the other popular player for Giannis, and Giannis can be the difference maker on a slate? No question.
Yep.
No doubt about it. Could Westbrook be involved in a blowout and Paul George does most of the heavy lifting and Westbrook, shoots terribly and that happens? Yep. It's possible. But do you want to do that? Probably not. I still, look, put it this way. Am I eating chalk here with Westbrook? Probably, yeah, but I just really like this spot for him a lot, and I'll certainly land on some Giannis because of everything we just talked about. But at the same time, it's hard for me to get to him over Westbrook, and one of the reasons for that too is Westbrook Westbrook just averages more minutes, and that's not to say that it's Harden minutes, but you're seeing 37 minutes, pretty routinely. I just like him more here, and it's kind of that simple. I won't get into the weeds with it.
I agree. I greatly prefer Russ if I'm paying up. So for me, like I said, it's these are all 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th ranked guys on FanDuel with Middleton, Bledsoe, Brogdon, Lopez. The prices for Middleton and Bledsoe on DraftKings are the pieces that I like, but it's just not that appealing of a spot. Miami's good and they're smart, and that's a struggle for
me. By the
me.
way, it is. I wanted to point something out I forgot to mention. I thought this is really important, though. I've talked a lot lately about how Westbrook, when he gets to the rim, is even when he drives and kicks and he's just more aggressive, he's going to be that much better. And you're going to get more scoring. You're going to get more efficient shooting. You're even going to get more assists from him because they're going to bring help. So over the first however many months of the season, let's say up till the 2nd of January, because his last 5 games, he's shooting a lot better. Up until January 2nd, he was averaging 15 drives per game. Since January 2nd, Josh, he is averaging 24 and a half drives per game. 24 and a half.
Wow.
That's a dramatic difference. That's a huge number. I'm telling you right now, if you're getting 24.5 drives per 24.5, if you're getting around 25 drives per game from Westbrook, right? And let's just say because of the overtime game, give him 22. Like, if you're getting him driving to the rack at that high of a clip, you're going to get good results. Even if he doesn't shoot well, there's going to be so many open guys when the defense brings help. 24 drives a game is an astronomical number.
Atlanta Hawks 25th. So I don't know. They are 6th. They give up the 6th most shots at the rim. Just in case you want to add that to the equation.
Yeah, there you go.
And Dedmon's probably their best rim protector. So
he's done a good job protecting the rim this year. It's kind of surprising.
He's good.
Yo, his 3-point stroke is nice.
Nice.
His 3 points. Yeah, dude. Have you watched him recently? I mean, I don't blame you for not.
Admittedly, I don't take in a lot of Hawks games, although I did watch most of the Hawks Raptors game a week or two ago.
Yeah. Listen, he is shooting well from 3.
And this is why these shows take so long.
I know. I was just gonna. I was
Dwayne Dedmon's 3-point stroke.
Was just going to say. Remember when we spent 30 minutes on Carmelo Anthony during baseball season? People did not like us that day.
No, not so much. What are you gonna do? What are you going to do? Look, Milwaukee's tough for me, and I don't have a single piece of Miami that I could recommend. And it's a shame because it's a nice pace-up spot, but there's too many dudes, and I don't know who the funk is going to play on a day-to-day basis.
Now you make me feel bad for actually saying that word earlier in the show.
There was going to be too much heat on it when I said it there, and I didn't want to shout it into the microphone.
Smart.
Oh, I drop it in once or twice in every show, but I was pretty animated there, and it felt like it would have been way too aggressive. I have Kelly Olynyk projected for 10 minutes today because I don't really see where he ends up here. He doesn't play center, and I don't really see a scenario where he's worthwhile at the 4 today.
He ain't worth his salt.
So, like, this strikes me as a much more James Johnson, Derrick Jones, Rodney Magruder game than anything else. But, like, who gets the split of the minutes between Bam and Whiteside? Shrug. I assume I have Bam with 25 and Whiteside with 23, and that could be anywhere from 20 to 28 on both sides. I got nothing on Miami anymore. I just don't want a part of them. I'd rather just be fully wrong.
It's heinous. It really is. You just look at the rotation. You know, on the 10th, Johnson plays 16 minutes. On the 12th, he plays 28. On the 10th, Kelly Olynyk plays 5 minutes.
Yeah, I had a bunch of them there.
Yep. And then 25 minutes on the 12th, right?
Yeah.
Dion Waiters plays 20 minutes. Dion Waiters then on the 12th plays less than 10 minutes. I could go on here. We know this. We could continue on with every player whose minutes are entirely skewed. I'll give you one more just for reference. Derrick Jones Jr. played 36 minutes. You ready for this? Derrick Jones Jr. played every minute after the first quarter, every second of every minute from the start of the second quarter to the end of the game.
If you're looking at Popcorn Machine, I don't think that's correct.
Damn it. I had a feeling that was wrong. They've been butchering the Miami Heat rotations lately, and I don't know why that is. Let's see.
Because they're so damn complicated. He played 29 minutes on the 10th.
You're right. Damn it. That was pretty cool.
But either way, 29 to 18.
Right.
There are two guys on this team whose minutes I trust on a day-to-day basis. Josh Richardson and Dwayne Wade.
I'm glad you pointed that out, though. It didn't seem right, but it was too good to let up.
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't.
Too good to ignore.
I didn't know what to do because I was looking at it, and I knew that I was right.
I would hope if you know that you're right, you would point that out.
I have the minutes table in my spreadsheet, so
it's kind of disappointing though with Popcorn Machine because they can be very valuable.
Yeah.
And they used to not. I used to not see any of these minute issues. The last couple of weeks, I brought it up to Adam a couple of weeks ago. we talked about on the deeper dive.
Yeah.
There were 3 guys just on one day that were way off. So I don't know what to make of it.
I just get the sense that like they scrape the data, they put it in there, and then they're not really going back to like fact check it at this point.
No, it's worth back checking. Like you could just do what I did there and get it all wrong.
Yeah. But even I mean, it still outlines the same point. He played 29 minutes in that game and then 18 the next day, and that was without Whiteside. So they had an additional 20 minutes to spread out to somewhere.
Sure.
I can't do it. I don't want any part of this game.
You can't want any part. It's tough. And then James Johnson could play 15 minutes or 23.
Yeah, or he could play 30 because they want him in defensively against Giannis.
That could absolutely happen. That was why we liked him a lot last time he had this matchup when he did play 30 minutes and they won.
Yeah.
And he actually was pretty solid against Giannis. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that Spoelstra's going to do the same thing. I mean, definitely doesn't mean that at all. Giannis really struggled in that game, by the way. So you would think that Spoelstra, if you know what, going back to this, if I'm going to go anywhere, give me $3,900 James Johnson and hope that he can be, the defensive anchor here against Giannis and that would be it. But really, if I am playing Johnson, it's because, no one's going to play him because his minutes have been down. No one's really looking at this matchup based, and it makes him kind of intriguing. But aside from that, he's just a 5-10% tournament guy you're hoping gets additional run at a dirt cheap price.
Yeah, you should not be playing any single guy in this game with any sort of volume. Josh Richardson, projected on FanDuel, 16% ownership. I don't want it, but at least he plays consistently. Wade, 18%. Like, I can't imagine wanting to do any of those things.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
I can't talk about this game. It's so frustrating.
Let's move it on.
Denver Nuggets hosting the Golden State Warriors. I'm going to take us down a path here. 113.25 implied total for the Nuggets. 114.25 for the Warriors. So Warriors 1-point favorites in Denver. We'll start with Nikola Jokic. 11-1 on FanDuel. 10-3 on DK. $48 on Yahoo. I'd be happy to have some. Nothing crazy. It's not the best spot. But I like Jokic because he is dope.
He is very good. It's not the greatest spot, but it's also not the most terrible spot either. I'm not terribly concerned about this. I think he's going to get plenty of work, and he's going to get it done. If he doesn't get it done in the scoring department, he'll get it done elsewhere. Now at this price, you kind of need him to get it done everywhere. But no, I think in a game that's this competitive, you have to have some interest. I know I do. And another thing too is this is a Denver team that plays at a pretty sluggish pace, whereas in the case of Golden State, they've seen their pace climb upwards. So it is a pace up spot that should benefit Jokic. He is is he expensive? Sure, he's expensive, but he's not crazy overpriced where you can't get there. He's cheaper than Towns on FanDuel, but on DraftKings at what is he 10-3? I don't see how that isn't in play. Warriors top 8 in pace over the last 30 days. Denver Nuggets are 25th in pace. There's a big disparity here, about 6 possessions per 48, and I think that works for Jokic. The more often the ball is in his hands, the more I like him.
Yeah, he's my dude. I started looking at the Embiid and Jokic comparisons a couple of days ago. I dove down that rabbit hole again. Did you know that Jokic is a year younger than him?
Than Embiid?
Yeah.
I didn't, but it does make sense because Embiid sat out 2 years.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I wasn't ready for that.
I didn't know it. No,
yeah.
I'm not super surprised by it,
this year on Jokic. 23, 12, and 9 with a steal and a half.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's insanity. He is blowing other centers out of the water in RPM on ESPN.
Is he?
Yeah, it's just I don't know what to think. I don't know what to make of it.
He's good. He's damn good.
To see that many on a per 36 basis, to see a center average 8.6 assists is unheard of.
Yeah,
that's such a unicorn, like in the realest sense in basketball, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. That's so many assists for a big man.
It's crazy. No, he's awesome. He's the best passing big man in the league. It's obvious, and it's interesting because he's really not that athletic. Like,
No.
watch him run the court, watch him play. It's not like he's this freakish athlete at all.
There's not a lot of grace in like the straight line.
No, like if you just looked at them, run a 40 and then do some like agility drills between him and say DeAndre Ayton, you'd be like, oh, Ayton's the better passer but the court vision and the basketball IQ for Jokic is off the charts. So it mitigates any of the lack of athleticism. He's great.
Yeah,
so I like him here.
Yeah, me too. I like Paul Millsap for $21 on Yahoo. Other than that, like Gary Harris is questionable. Will Barton is back, so everybody else sucks.
Yeah, it's not fun. Will Barton should affect pretty much everyone, but when the minutes increase. Yeah. Right now, he's just taking away. You're not playing Harris anymore. He is questionable though, so stay tuned for information on that. But even in that case, like, what are you going to get here? My first instinct though is if Gary Harris sits, Beasley's still going to get good minutes. He still played 37 minutes last game. Torrey Craig played 25 minutes, and Monty Morris still played 27 minutes. There were minutes to go around still. My guess would also be that the biggest hit in minutes is Hernan Gomez.
Yeah.
Right. So if Gary Harris doesn't play, then those guys will still get their minutes. It's just, do you want to pay that much for somebody like Beasley? I don't think it's an awful play if Harris is out because his minutes have been through the roof, and hopefully he'd be able to stumble into a decent game. Definitely not a priority though.
No, I can't get to anybody with any sort of volume. Only Jokic has double-digit ownership on any one of the sites. Everybody else is in the singles, and that's exactly where it should be.
It is absolutely where it should be. And then Jamal Murray, I'm not getting there either. I much prefer playing Murray when he's like mid 6K and not above 7.
And with 3 other dudes out.
Correct. Yeah.
And then for the Warriors, I'll
tell you about
Durant for $43 on Yahoo looks pretty good.
I'm really excited for Cousins to come back on Thursday.
You and me both.
I can't wait. I
just want to watch the Durant, Curry, Draymond, Clay, Cousins lineup go out there for a couple minutes and just.
It'd be awesome. I have no idea how he's going to perform early on. He's been out for quite a while and he tore his Achilles, so it's just a terrible injury.
Yeah.
A lot of guys never come back from that, to where they were before. But I'm just, they are. Oh wait, no. Do they play? 1 second.
So
they play.
They play the Pelicans, and he wants to come back for that, but he's not. They don't want him to come back for the Pelicans game. They want him to come back for the game after that.
The Clippers, yeah, okay. So Thursday I was wrong. They play tomorrow, so they play Wednesday. But even so, I was gonna say the Pelicans and the Clippers are both really good matchups.
Yeah.
So if let me tell you this much: if Cousins comes back and Kerr is like, yeah, he's going to be limited to. We're going to give him 23 minutes against the Clippers at 6K. It would take a lot. I'm serious. It would take a lot for me not to.
Oh, yeah.
Still, like in tournaments, Drummond in 23 minutes can do outrageous things.
I don't know how you just said Drummond, but you did.
Did I say Drummond?
Yeah. I don't even know how you get there, man. Draymond, unless you're thinking of Draymond, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm looking at I'm looking at Draymond and Cousins, the D Green, D Cousins next to each other. I don't know. Maybe I got Drummond out of that. That's impressive.
Yeah, I don't know how you landed on that one. Do you want any part of the Warriors tonight?
Wild things in 23 minutes as well, but not like Cousins.
Yeah, and in 34 minutes he could wildly underproduce.
Yeah, big time.
Asshole.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I'm getting there.
It's a fantastic game. I'm watching the shit out of this tonight. The wife is heading to Boston in about an hour, so.
You gonna stay up past 9 o'clock today?
I am. I'm gonna have 2 TVs. I'm gonna have Red Dead on one. I'm gonna have a basketball game on the other.
How far are you? What chapter are you on?
I haven't played in like a week or two, so I'm like mid chapter 3.
Okay.
I just get off on these tangents of murder.
I know. I know. I know. I was talking to my buddy the other day. He's like, so talking to my sister and her husband, his brother-in-law, like he's telling me how he rode a guy into town because he accidentally killed his horse and he wanted to raise his honor rating. And he's like, what a loser. And he's so right. If you're playing Red Dead Redemption to have your honor rating high, you are missing out on what makes this game great.
Yeah,
slaughter
I
people.
started that way, and it gave me anxiety to be like a bad person. And now it's just like,
oh, not me.
I went to go.
My honor rating couldn't go low. I'm not joking. The slider stopped going down.
Nice. I went to go recover like that old drunk guy's shit in his house, and return him to him because he's living in like a tent in the woods. And he tried to pull that gun on me afterwards, and it just clicks. Yeah. And as soon as it was done, I was like, okie dokie.
Yep.
Pulled out the old double barrel shotgun and gave him one right to the face.
Me too. You know what's really sick? I'm in the basement and I say it out loud. I said, "You're welcome," when I killed him because he had such a shitty life that in my head I was doing him a favor.
Yep, that's exactly how I felt. I took all of his shit and got the fuck out of there.
Yeah, like an old animal. Took all of his shit. He had nothing.
No,
he had garbage.
68 cents.
Yeah, I'm like, I did you a favor. I may or may not have tossed his body in the fire.
I blew his face clear off.
So me too. I may have taken an arm with him.
Yeah, he was bent over too, like on his hands and knees. Yep. I was like, I gotta kill him.
You pull a gun. It's a wrap, buddy. I just did you a favor. I just went into a boarded up house to get your shit, killed a bunch of squatters.
Yeah.
What a joke.
Yeah. With a knife too, by the way, which was really fun. It was a fun kill.
Yeah.
I got some sort of like knife wielding bonus because I killed the first guy in a pretty dope manner. Sliced him. But when I killed him, he fell down those steps, which was really cool.
Yes. The trapdoor steps. Yeah.
Anyway, hour and a half. Lakers Bulls. Let's close this out. 110.5 implied total for the Lake Show. 104 for the Bulls. We'll start in LA, where at least we know like this is a pretty steady lineup. Bulls are actually better defensively under Boylen lately. Better than average on a fantasy points per possession basis. That doesn't mean that they're not slow as molasses. I can do a little bit of Kuzma on FanDuel. You can talk me into a little bit of Josh Hart. Rotate through Ingram, Ball, McGee. I don't see any standout plays outside of maybe Brandon Ingram for $24 on Yahoo. These guys don't look very appealing to me on DraftKings. 14% expected ownership on JaVale is the highest. Everybody else in single digits.
They have the worst offensive rating in the entire league since LeBron went out.
To me,
that's relevant, right? Like that is absolutely relevant.
Yeah.
They've been terrible offensively. They just lost a home game to Cleveland by 6.
Why is it that every single team when LeBron is out is awful offensively?
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, yeah, they're not just bad. They're not just worse. They are the worst in the league.
I get being worse. I don't understand why everyone seems to be worse even further than that.
Right.
Like, I understand removing LeBron James from the team is going to make your offense worse. That part's not lost on me. It seems like there's extra.
Yeah, it makes it, but it really makes it tough to roster any of these guys with any confidence. Like,
yeah.
I don't think Lonzo is a terrible play here.
Whoa, I'm gonna keep that soundbite.
But here's the thing: how much am I really going to get to? I don't see myself getting to any of these guys heavily. I want to play Ingram at this price because I've gone over his numbers since LeBron went down. He should be producing a lot better than he is. A lot of assist opportunities, a lot of rebound chances, plenty of scoring opportunities, but it just hasn't been there, man.
No.
So I don't mind Ingram. I don't mind Lonzo Ball. On DraftKings, they're both in that mid 6K range. That's fine. But man, it's been a tough go recently for these guys. Kyle Kuzma, he's another one of those guys. If I land on some Kuzma, and I'm not trying to be like wishy-washy here, this is really what it is. I'm not getting a lot of any of them right now. All of them are priced where it's like I can take them or leave them.
Yeah.
And I feel that way for the entire team.
I completely agree. And the DraftKings prices aren't that advantageous. Like Kuzma's the same price on both sites.
Right.
Like Josh Hart, same price on both sites. KCP is $200 cheaper. So if you want to get to these LA guys, FanDuel is probably the spot.
Yeah.
Like I said, Ingram for $24 on Yahoo is the only thing that I think is very appealing. Well, not very appealing, but like more appealing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh, by the way, I did want to say Draymond Green, I think, is a fine play on DraftKings.
Okay.
I mean, he definitely has not been good recently, but 6,300, just given the upside that we know he has, is worth it. Pace down game, but he's there if you need him, and you can't get up to the other ones. But yeah, with Kuzma, it's like you have Collins at 75. If Turner's out, you have Sabonis at 79. You've got a lot of quality players in that same range that you expect to be more consistent than him.
Yeah.
With Ingram, it's the same thing we've been saying at small forward. The small forward position isn't nearly as weak today on FanDuel, but it's still not awesome.
No.
And guys like Bembry and George are still expected to have a lot of ownership. So Ingram at 6,900 is, I think, very reasonable. Aside from that, it's tough.
Yeah. The Bulls side, though, I love Lauri Markkanen here. 6,400 on FanDuel, 61 on DK, 23 on Yahoo. Pace up spot for Chicago. The Bulls are terrible, but I'll bet on Markkanen getting some buckets here against an LA team that doesn't really have anybody that is good defensively. It's certainly not Kuzma.
They are the second best team defensively since LeBron went down. It's the strangest thing.
For real?
Yep. Worst offensively, second best defensive team in the league over that span.
Get the fuck out of here.
Now, the positive here, though, is they play at the fastest pace, so that mitigates much of it.
Yeah.
But yes, their defense has actually been very, very good. Think about it. The only reason they've stayed close in a lot of these games is because they're not allowing a ton of scoring.
True.
Because they're not exactly score. Well, they are scoring, but if you actually look into it, again, it's because they're playing at such an elevated pace. From an efficiency standpoint, they've been brutal. No, I have no problem with Lauri Markkanen.
Okay.
I like him here. Bobby Portis, we saw something that was like, yeah, he'll be limited. I saw something like 28 minutes the one game, and then he played 17 minutes.
Yeah, I have him in for 22 here.
Yeah, Bobby Portis to me is also interesting because his per minute upside is just massive.
He was out forever. He played 3 straight games at 20, 19, and 17. So we have to get word that he's going to play 25 plus for me to be super interested.
I don't mind Chris Dunn though either.
Yeah.
I mentioned this. I think it might have been on a deeper dive. I don't remember, but since Dunn has been back and since Lavine returned, I think it was the day after Christmas, Lavine's potential assists went down from like 10 to 4 or 11 per game to 4 per game. And Dunn's are still through the roof. Touches per game, Lavine lost like 20 touches per game. I think he went from 70 to 49. And Chris Dunn has actually remained very steady in that regard. He's seeing a ton of touches, initiating the offense, a lot of assist opportunities. He's still getting plenty of shots. If you give me a 22, 23% usage rate with Chris Dunn, those numbers line up nice enough at this cost. And I would think that you see Lonzo guarding Lavine, Lavine. That would, to me, make more sense.
Yeah.
But either way, you get a massive pace up spot here.
Yeah.
Right. A huge pace up spot. Get this. The Bulls are averaging almost 10 fewer possessions per 48 than the Lakers since over the span that LeBron went down. That's a huge amount.
Massive.
Huge. So the defensive rating is one thing, but the pace change is just exponentially higher.
Yep.
Which has me looking at someone like Chris Dunn at sub 7K and say, hey, he's not a terrible play.
No, I'm with you there. 2 things on this Bulls team. They're both about Lavine. Where are all the people that were like, oh, Zach Lavine is fantastic from the beginning of the season? Because, he's not. And how much better would the Bulls' outlook be in the future if they let the Kings sign him and didn't match that offer sheet in the summer? And what in the world did the Kings want Zach Lavine for?
I know. But are you being a bit tough on the guy? Because his shooting hasn't been that bad. It's just like I was saying with Dunn, he's not really getting any other opportunities outside of a scorer recently. He's had a couple bad shooting games, but aside from that, pretty good as a shooter.
Pretty
Isn't
good,
that what
huh?
you're paying him for?
Has he ever? He's never been a good shooter. That's the sneaky part of all of this.
I mean, I guess. Has he been that bad?
34 his last 2 years. He shot 38% from 3 in 16-17. But like, if he's a 34% three-point shooter, which he's been over the last 1,800 minutes that he's played. Let me find him here. I want to make sure that I get this correct.
Since he came back from injury, which is relevant because Dunn has been on the court and Markkanen's been on the court. Lavine, I'm pulling it up right now.
What position?
So
is he a point guard?
Since he came back from injury, it's 55% EFG, 60% true shooting. That's not bad for a guard, man. I think
he's the 54th ranked point guard in real plus minus on ESPN right now.
Okay, it's real plus minus.
He's making $20 million for the next however many years.
I'm not saying he's not getting overpaid. I'm saying that since Dunn has come back, his numbers have looked a lot worse because he's doing nothing but shooting. That's all I was saying. We might be arguing two different points.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is that that's not going to change. I don't think.
No, I don't see why it would. Dunn is the better facilitator.
I mean, if you rank the priorities of Chicago moving forward, it's probably what? Markkanen, take your pick on Dunn or Carter, and then take the opposite one, and then Lavine is fourth?
I would say Markkanen and Carter. Yeah. Markkanen and Carter. Probably, yeah. Actually, what do you think? Where are you at on Wendell Carter?
As a DFS play today or
today?
$15 on Yahoo is really appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers not really going to get to the line all that often, so that makes me feel a little bit better about Wendell Carter not getting into foul trouble. 6K on FanDuel's. I mean, it's tough. It's tough for me at 6K on FanDuel. 5,300 on DK. I think he works as a piece because of this pace up spot.
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible spot for him. And if there's like one area where the Lakers have struggled defensively, it has actually been the center position.
Yeah,
you know, like since LeBron went down, they've still been pretty average at center. Actually, they're allowing more rebounds to the position than any other team. Thanks to the pace.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Actually,
I wish I liked more in this game.
It makes perfect sense because their offensive rating is the lowest, meaning they're shooting worse than any other team too, and they're playing at the fastest pace. So they're just probably just centers gobbling up defensive rebounds against them. Makes perfect sense.
Yep. Yeah, I like me some Wendell Carter today, especially on Yahoo at $15, where you can still play more than one center if you'd like.
Works for me.
Alrighty. There's 6 games in 1 hour and 38 minutes. So just a crisp run through this lovely Tuesday slate. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose. Shout out to Thrive Fantasy. Not a sponsor today, but go check them out. ThriveFantasy.com. Adam will have the deep dive out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive today at 5 p.m. Live before lock at 6. We got anything else we need to plug?
No, you got it, man. You hit them all.
Alrighty. That's it. That's all I got. Best of luck, everybody. We'll see you guys at the top of the leaderboards. Trying to wait a